And I think for a lot of organizations, they get caught up in the vanity metrics. What was my send? How many names are on my list? How
Yeah,
many sends did I do today? What was
for
my deliverability? What
sure.
was my open rate? Getting beyond the vanity metrics that we all know, how do you really dig into your email and the information that's there to deduce what's working and what's not working
Yeah.
to the degree you're talking to? Because it's really easy to look at the vanity metrics and be like, everything looks fine.
Yeah.
How do you take it to the next step and get to what you're talking about?
For sure. So I think, the one thing is really to look at your performance over time, right? Don't just look at that standalone campaign and be like, woohoo, we had a great sales day and our opens were the highest they've been in, like don't be like, oh yeah, today 35% open rate. If your typical open rate is 20%, right? Like look at that trend and see, are we trending up? Are we staying consistent or are we trending downwards over time? Is there a huge area where you kind of just fall off a cliff at some point, right? Because I think all of those things are really important to look at. But it's also like look at all of your metrics, right? Because it's a journey, right? There's, figure, somebody can't open something if it doesn't go to their inbox, if it's not delivered to their address in the first place, right? So cool, you got them to, you got the address delivered. That's awesome. Then you got them to open. That's great. Now you need to focus on getting them to click through your email and eventually land on your website or take whatever that call to action is that you're looking at. But ultimately, I mean, email's whole goal is to drive your business forward in some way. Is it not, right? Like it's not just to get lots of opens. That sounds great. But again, to your point, that's a vanity metric, because if people are just opening, that doesn't mean that they're ever going to actually help your bottom line for your business. So I think it's just really tying your business metrics, your conversions, even just website visits, right? If you can see that when you send an email, even if people aren't opening or clicking, if you see a spike in website traffic shortly after that, or if you see that your sales on your website are higher that day or something like that, if you can see indications of kind of like that butterfly effect, I think that's the bigger thing to look at is don't just get stuck in that box of woohoo, lots of opens, lots of clicks, because if those aren't generating actual money for your business, then you're doing something wrong. So I think it's just a matter of kind of putting that whole picture together and saying, is this working? And trace that back, like really check that against your goals with email, right? If your goal with email is literally just to kind of get brand visibility out there, okay, that's a little bit harder to track. But if it truly is, we're a retail business, we have a sale today, we want to generate as many sales as possible, that's pretty easy for you to kind of tell, what you're doing there. So I think it really is just a matter of looking at the bigger picture, and really trying to adjust accordingly.